Run Pure Sports back with another UFC card. I'm Mike Brown, aka H3 Buddha. Here on my is the cat out of the bag, JSU? Is it out of the bag? Am I now a Run Pure Sports founding type of guy that's going to give you the best winners, or what? Like, am I in the team now, or what?
Well, you're in the team, but you still got to give the winners. I mean, you've only been here for like a week, so you got to give the winners for the Run Pure people. But you've given winners in the past for MMA, so we know you have the ability to give the winners for MMA. And I don't even know if people know. I mean, I know that people know you in terms of maybe they've seen you on other sites or on Twitter or whatever. They've probably seen you in the MMA DFS streets throughout the years, because you've been playing for, I mean, you've probably been playing just as long as I have DFS anyways, but maybe give the people just a quick little down low on Mike Brown and your MMA DFS pass, because you've had a pretty good DFS career when it comes to MMA specifically.
Absolutely. I think I said it the last time we did that Noche show. JSU's like, yeah, come on for an hour. We end up going 2 hours. We provide that value for you. We love giving you a full, thorough breakdown. And that's the thing, right? Like, I love it. I'm passionate about UFC. I watch a ton of footage. Really getting into it, I always point back to that UFC McGregor versus Dennis Siver in Boston. Pretty wild. It really was. That was one where we had the old scoring, so there wasn't all this advanced theory or anything, but I just played it, right? I had a couple $100 in my DraftKings account. Let's pull a $15, $10 lineup in the MMA, see what happens. Stack the main event. Probably not on purpose. Don't know. Back in the day, it was something I did by accident and shipped.
You just blacked out. You just blacked out, we'll say.
You click buttons, back in the day. But you learn, right? Quickly. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. And you know what? At that point, there wasn't a lot of people looking at it. Now, I think it's really interesting from a theory standpoint, because you can really pinpoint ownership right now. You can see where people are going to go. You're going to look towards those leverage points. I was at the first MMA live final. People don't know that even existed. UFC 205 in New York City. Conor McGregor, double belts, 2 champs, baby. 10 people in that final. Some of the sharpest people in the world. I really picked their brains. Some of the, $5 million winners. So I was really getting a lot of value from just asking them about what they were doing. But yeah, and then I just really organically, and then they had those, remember the head-to-head contests they had where it was like, the Survivor type of style, which was really cool, because I think there was a lot of things you could do, right? DraftKings being a sponsor here as well, it is just awesome with the opportunities they have. So many different live finals they've had, etc. And MMA is growing, man. I love to be a part of it. I love to give winners. And I got a call back to last week or 2 weeks ago, right? Noche, you had me on here. What did I say? I said one of 2 people will win. One of them, horrible take.
Oh, yes. I remember this.
I'm going to say 2 things. One, Jose Medina, terrible pick. But I said one of 2 people will win, and I promised that. I said one of the 2 people will win, and guess who ended up winning? It was Aldin Correa at like a near plus 300, plus 400. He dominated that fight. I have to think Costa came into that fight a little compromised because something, it didn't feel right for him. But regardless, that's a big winner, big upset. So the first live show I ever did, as you know, I gave out Alexa Grasso. That was about the same number. My first show here on RPS, I give out that Aldin Correa or Jose Medina. He's gone. He's never going to be back. We won't have to deal with Jose Medina. But here's the situation. Dusko Tavvaris even said in the post fight, he's like, I was scared. If I got out of that first round, second, third round, exactly what I thought. He was scared of Jose Medina.
You just reminded me, though. You just reminded me. So you gave out the plus 400 winner in Aldin, and I gave out the plus 400 winner on Dusko by submission. I remember this now. Thank you for reminding me.
Targeting the right fights. That's what it all comes down to. People need to know that sometimes it's not about who the winner and loser is. I'm going to talk about it on this card, right? Let's just actually pivot right to this card. That's a perfect situation. Originally, this card was supposed to have upwards to 15 fights. We were going to finally have a true MMA slate. A lot of things have happened, a lot of illness, a lot of fat guys that don't even bother cutting weight anymore. Taffas, right? I mean, hey,
we don't need those guys on this card.
no,
I mean,
no.
we probably would have gotten a nice knockout, but whatever. Who cares?
Yeah, 12 fights, but you know where the ownership's going on this card. I always try to like give a little macro viewpoint of this slate, right? We have 2 women's MMA fights here. People aren't going to want a piece of those. We'll try to dig a little for some love. There's some centrally located Australian, New Zealander love, right? I think there's some great leverage spots on this slate. You know, we'll talk about the leverage point. Clearly, the main event is the decision-making, number one, if you're going to have a piece of it or not. Who knows if it goes to the decision, where the scoring goes for it. But up and down this card, you have some very, very large guys compared to some of the competition. Like when you look at the weigh-ins, there's some like Neil Magny versus Matthews. The size difference, like it's just height. There's a lot of reach. We'll talk about the second fight. Brando Peris is it's huge. Like there's some very big size disparities, but that doesn't always correlate. You know, that doesn't mean they're going to win. But hey, we're going to start off the night with a kind of silly fight. Okay, it's way down the card. Lumaluc versus Alexa Tinara. Normally, I always say it. I love my catchphrase, ugly women's MMA fight. This is not an ugly fight, JSU. This is actually high level. I got to be honest. Lumaluc kickboxing background. Tinara also kickboxing, kind of a fast pace. A lot of the time it comes down to physicality, right? So I just think that Lumaluc has definitely struggled with some of the in between the ears stuff. She's had some personal life stuff issues. She's got great kickboxing. She's not very physical. Last fight out was a glaring issue for me. Do you remember that against the smaller Brazilian girl there, Estela Nunez? If Estela Nunez is trying to physical you, you're in deep trouble. I think there could be some sneaky scoring ability in this fight. The problem is when it goes to a decision, a lot of the love is kind of like killed out of this fight. That's the problem, right? Tinara minus 240 range. Luc about a plus 200 on DraftKings. I want to pull the trigger on Luc, but there's no upside, dude. There's just none.
No, even in a win, I think Luc might be almost dead compared to some of these other dogs if they were to win for DFS. So for DFS, I'm throwing Luc out. Now, if you want to talk about a money line underdog as a bet, you could maybe talk me a little on board. The one thing I don't like though about Luc is she kind of just like she's better than the chicks that Tinara has fought. Obviously, to date, she's definitely her best comp, but she just kind of gives me nothing. You know what I mean? I do think she's talented. I totally agree with that, but I think Tinara could win this fight, and this is my problem with picking her. I think, let's just say Tinara doesn't get her grappling going or her wrestling, right? I think she could do kind of what she did on the Contender Series and just win a striking match in like a 29-28 decision win. And that's what it kind of worries me for DFS in general too, because we all know the upside, especially with low-level women's MMA or women's MMA in general, is you probably want takedowns. You probably want grappling. You want that. So the question is, are we going to get that here? Can Tinara do that? Can she give us a big score at that price tag? Or is Luc going to be able to slow her down just a little bit in that avenue? But we just get like a 3-round striking match. And I think a 3-round striking match with these girls probably doesn't score that well either way.
Well, on DraftKings, you get the sneaky control time. This thing could get stuck against the cage where they're hugging each other, turning each other back and forth, and there's just those little tiny punches that just add up. The problem is, like you said, there's not a lot of volume from Luc. We have Tinara throwing nearly 6 significant strikes out there per minute. She's got the volume. Obviously, that's 2 stats out there. I don't even want to count the Molly McCann fight. Like, Molly McCann actually had a boxing match. Did you know that? And was like, fought some 5-7 chick. Poor thing, she wins easily. It's like they always have a career outside of the UFC, but we knew what Molly was. Kind of a front runner, had to get out there and get it done early. And man, she got taken down and submitted pretty easily. And that's one of those situations, 4.5 minutes, she got that finish in the first round. That's ideal for fantasy, JSU. We want to finish deep in there for fantasy.
That's the thing. Do you think we get a quick win? I don't. So if we don't think that, do we think Alexa Tinara can get a bunch of takedowns? I don't know if Luke Boomy is just going to be dominated. She might get taken down, but I don't know if she's going to get dominated in that to where we're going to get the big score. That's my worry for DFS. So,
yep. And you look at pick 6. Look, man, these are tight lines. I would not touch anything in this particular one.
Look at these.
And when you're looking at ownership, also, it's lowest owned fight by a mile. It's 15% for Tinara, say 10% for Luke Boomy. Very clear. So if you have a stance, go for it. But look at that range that Tinara is going against. It's almost impossible that you can really deal with. So I can't see anything here for pick 6. I mean, it would be like over Tinara strikes, but I'm pushing it. I think that line's accurate. I don't know. I don't see anything.
If Tinara wins by finish, it's a sub. We agree there. 100%. We agree there. I'm just saying, like, in a lot of her fights, like when she's getting there, she's like dominating. And I think a good fight to go back and watch is the Dana White Contender Series fight, where like she didn't really dominate in that spot. And so but she was very comfortable standing and just, outstriking her opponent. And she did a good job with like the pressure and everything like that. So that's my one thing. I could see something like that happen where, if she doesn't get her takedowns and stuff, she could just stand and win a 3-round striking match. That's kind of, I agree with you though. Like the finishes are definitely submission here. I also agree the pick 6,
right? Sub only. I mean, it's probably juice to the gills, but sub
plus
only
300 on DraftKings, plus 300. It's not bad actually.
I mean, you could also do the sub only, like literally sub only, which is probably like minus 1,000, I assume. But like that's
you're saying either way. You're saying either way.
Well, yeah. So they have those lines. But if you go to the winner method, no, fight lines. So for first line only, submission only prop, it's minus 750. But like, if she hits it, at least it's juicing your parlays up. I mean, we're digging here. This show's going to go on forever. We're on the first fight of the night, and we're digging into those.
I think we're all in the same boat though, or both of us are in the same boat that we don't really like this fight as much as coming in. Maybe I thought I would like this fight, but I agree with you. I think if you're betting Tinara, you could sprinkle the plus 300. This just feels to me like people want to bet the submission, and it's going to go to the cards. She's probably just going to win a 3-round decision.
Takedown line is locked. You go to the DraftKings Sportsbook, there is no takedown prop offered. I'm guessing it was 2.5, and I'm guessing it was probably getting heat to the over. That would be my only guess. But we move on to a ugly heavyweight fight. I mean, this is not pretty, but we have Peris versus Ellison. That's a little alliteration right there, right? That's direct alliteration.
I'm going to give you credit. I would have definitely butchered those names. So I think you did a good job.
Don't worry. I'm on the spot. will butcher names. We all know that. But here's the situation here. Brando fighting out of City Kickboxing. People love this team. People know it's from the region. I think it's a weird fight, right? Like, it's a weird spot. They kind of just both got into the UFC. They're both like, all right, instead of going in Contender Series, let's scratch that fight on the Contender Series you're supposed to have and bring you right into the UFC. And that was why I was saying we were originally going to have like 14, 15 fights. This was one of the last ones that was added before we started losing fights. And, Contender Series, now they don't have to work as crazy. You look at the physicality here, man, of Peris. He's huge. I looked at the weigh-ins and I'm like, he's like a massive, like, I don't even know what to say. He towers over his opponent. But I did give out my first thing in Discord this morning, and it was a play that makes a hell of a lot of sense just based on the stats, right? It's less about the heart, more about what the background is. You're looking at a minus 200, minus 225 money line for Peris. First or second round for him, minus 160. that correlates perfectly to what? A knockout in the first or second round gets you right at 80 points. We don't even have to worry about it. Lock that play in on pick 6. You have to do it. If you're not picking that as like a free square, nothing's free. But I mean, listen, those props to back it up, giving me a -200 and a -160 to finish in the first 2 rounds. Now, here's where we get into the fantasy, right? You and I have to. There's a couple fights on the slate that are game theory fights. This is one of them, because if Ellison wins, it's going to be early. I don't necessarily believe he's going to have the fans in his back pocket. I don't think he's going to have the volume on the feet. I think it may be competitive on the feet, definitely. But the first, like, say, 2 or 3 minutes, you're going to know where this thing is for fantasy. It's ugly.
I'm with you, though. I think that this pick 6 line, 81.5, when you got look at these numbers, how low they are too for significant strikes, fight time. Like, everything's saying you, honestly, it's saying to me first round finish, to be honest. And so if there's a first round finish, and Perisic wins, I mean, he's getting over that 81.5, like he's skyrocketing over that 81.5. So I'm with you. I like it. And I like him for DFS. He looks to me like a solid DFS fighter. I don't know how good he's going to be overall in the UFC, but like for a heavyweight, he has like a solid stand-up game. He's light on his feet at times. He's not just like a Taffa where he's just throwing straight bombs, right? It's not just like bomb or bust either. He showed some takedowns too in some of his fights, which I thought was interesting. So like he kind of has a little bit of an all-around game. And like you said, he's a big fucking dude. When he gets in tight, he'll throw, nice strikes, elbows. He throws kind of the whole 9 when he gets in there. And I like him here. I think he's one of the best DFS spend-ups on the slate. So he's a guy personally for me. I don't think we need to talk too much more about this, but he's a guy I'm going to be supremely heavy on in my DFS lineups. I want him on a lot of my teams.
I'm actually going back to the Noche card to give a comparison, because we broke down a fight, that first fight of the night. Remember Donchenko versus Nando? Kind of the same. It's a little bit different because it's not a jiu-jitsu guy on the other side, but it's the same situation where you're dealt a directly correlated inside the distance to that, very nice price, right? He's not 9K, Peris. He's 88. So he's like minus whatever, 160, minus 200. It's directly correlated to that inside the distance, which means when he wins, he's putting up that 90 to 100 points. I love it. I don't think we have to go too crazy on it, like you said, but City Kickboxing versus Combat Sports and Fitness. You ever heard of that team for Ellison?
I haven't, and I think he's in big trouble here. But K. Fouch Burner says, can we just stop and appreciate Ellison's nickname, the Snake Panther? I mean,
the Snack Panther is pretty
Snack
good.
Panther. Sorry, I said Snake. The Snack Panther.
Snack Panther.
I saw that someone posted that in our Discord yesterday, and I was laughing about that. I was just like, "Oh my god, this dude's nickname!" But we can appreciate the Snack Panther here, real quick.
We love good nicknames. The Balkan Bear versus the Snack Panther. I mean, we're coming back to the old school days.
The Snack Panther's definitely got him over the Balkan Bear. He's got him for sure. He won't have him in the fight, but he's got him for sure. I agree there. Let's go to and yes, we did lose the Taffa Sutherland fight. For people who didn't see that fight is gone. We had a couple fights go on this card, but yeah, next fight.
Yeah, we have to move on to. Do we have to? Luana Karolina fights are ugly. This girl can't even do a push-up. Have you ever seen that video? It's amazing. She's like,
I haven't, but she looks like a girl who wouldn't be able to do a push-up, to be honest with you. Whereas the other girl she's fighting looks like a girl who actually trains to do like push-ups and pull-ups and stuff like that.
Yeah, and this is not an easy fight for Mrs. Karolina here. We have Michelle Montigu coming in off of the PFL in her debut as a pretty decent favorite. You got to be honest, for a women's MMA fight, they have some confidence in her at minus 200 to minus like 235 range, and she's going to be the more physical girl. She's going to push a pace. I think the line is still pretty fair because people are worried about the debutante, right? She's been under the bright lights over at PFL. I have confidence that she's been tested, but Luana Karolina can sometimes make fights close to optics, which is a little bit scary. So I mean, I think Montigu will be able to get it against the cage. Whether she gets the takedown or not, she might just be able to get some volume off. It's a very interesting spot. You look at the betting line when it comes to the inside the distance. Throughout the week, it opened about a plus 150 for Montigu. It's been continually bet down to about a plus 120. And when you look at the overall betting line, it's just been money constantly coming in on Montigu. Luana Karolina, I mean, let me try to say something good about her. I mean, she's made the walk. She has volume striking when she's not on the mat or not getting controlled. I think it's a very interesting spot. Like, if it stays on the feet, it might be interesting. If it's going to hit the mat at any regard, it's not going to be pretty. I think she's just not going to be able to get up. This is one of those spots where it could just take 3 takedowns. It could take 1 in each round, and then bang, you're like, dude, we just watched the ugliest fight for 3, but she's got to survive on that mat, right? That's the problem here is like if Luana can't survive, and I don't think she will, to be honest. I think Montigu is just a little bit faster everywhere. Very, very interesting fantasy play. Let's be honest. 29%. She's the lowest owned pretty much outside of Jack Jenkins in this 9K range. I think it's a very, very, very interesting play because listen, you have 2 ways of scoring here, JSU, right? Dominant 3 rounds or an early finish. Multiple pass to score heavy. And I'm a team never Luana Karolina. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. So Luana Karolina is a girl that I don't enjoy watch fighting. She's not very good. And honestly, the girls she's faced recently are not very good. Like looking through her last 3 wins, Petrovic, Stoliarenko, Pudilova, all girls that are not good. And she's been a dog or like a coin flip, either favorite or slight dog on all those fights. And I've bet her in every single one of those fights because I knew that a lot of those girls were just like Luana Karolina. The best thing I can say about her is that she knows how to find a way to win, but she's not like amazing at anything. She's just like okay at most of the stuff. Whereas like a lot of the girls she was fighting were like bad. You know what I mean? Were like bad in an area where she could exploit them. And that's the best thing I can say about her. Whereas like Montigu, she has this like one thing where she's gonna be better at a lot of girls, which is obviously the wrestling, the jiu-jitsu when the fight gets to the mat. So obviously these girls, extremely different fight styles. Luana Karolina wants to kind of just stick and circle out. She doesn't want to like stay in the pocket for long periods of time. She's not going to be like constantly pressuring you. She's not going to be looking for takedowns, right? So she's a bad, like in general type of DFS play. You know what I mean? Unless she's getting like the fluky finish against Stoliarenko where she hurt her really bad in that 3rd round and like sensed that she was really hurt and could get the finish. You know, she's like opportunistic when it comes to that. Whereas like if she knows a girl's hurt, then maybe she'll go for it, but she has to like know for sure. And that's the thing with her. So I definitely like the Montague side. What you were talking about, like for DFS, she's the one that's going to score better. She is tough. Her striking is not good, but she uses it to set up, you know, she'll throw bombs to set up her takedowns and stuff like that. And I think eventually she finds a way to get this thing down to the mat. Karolina, her takedown defense is okay, like solid, I guess, from a statistical standpoint, but I've seen her get taken down by lesser, you know, fighters than Montague. So I don't know how much stock I want to put in it. Remember, this girl got finished by Molly McCann. Like, let's keep this in mind right now. And Molly McCann is not in the UFC. She's retired since, since like a year or whatever ago, however long it was. But that just tells you like Luana Karolina is not it. And I think if she gives up her back, that this is the thing I've noticed with Montague is she is so good at the back take. So what happens in a lot of her fights is she eventually gets this thing down to where the fighters panic into giving their back. And when they do that, she's extremely talented at taking the back. She does it very well. It's very quick. And once she does that, Mike, she flattens girls out and she'll look for the rear naked choke. You'll notice she's all rear naked choke, but she does throw bombs when they're down. She will throw heavy strikes. She's very smart when it comes to that. So she's a perfect DFS play, I think. You have the upside for takedowns and work, and she has the upside for a finish.
Elite pivot.
Fights.
Right? I mean, she's an elite pivot off of some of these names. Croots, the Petroski's, then all the way up top, too. You're getting off of that high range where, you know, the main event piece right there.
Are you Tinara or her? If you could only play one, who do you like more?
Montigu. But here's the thing, it has to be because of scoring. Scoring criteria on DraftKings, control time, the little pitter-patter. I love my pitter-patter. Just do those little things. Like you said, if she's trying to hammer to get that, that's just to try to get that rear naked and get her, right? That's beautiful for scoring purposes. It's very clearly Montigu. And the lowest owned fighter is definitely going to be Karolina. I mean, she's expected single digits, which is
for good reason.
Kind of funny because even the lowest priced fighter on the slate has more ownership. But yeah, I think we've pretty much nailed that. There's some sneaky upside there. Pick six wise, I didn't really see anything. If they had been a little bit craftier with the control time for Montigu, you and I would have been all over that. But that's just,
I would have liked the under, honestly. You know why? Because I think if she can get her down, it would have been over quick. You know what I mean? Like, the question is, how quickly can she get her to the actual ground?
Yeah. And again, if I were forced and I'm not going to make a play on this, it would be under significant strikes Montigu or over.
That's the one I'm looking
over
at.
Fantasy points. Yeah, because the other thing you're looking at too is a lot of these strikes on the women's just aren't sometimes ruled as significant. So that could be a very interesting one. But we move on to, you know, honestly, a very, very interesting fight. We see this often where you see two stocks plummet and they end up going against each other in the UFC. We have Colby Thickness versus Josiah Mousasa. Mousasa coming in as the favorite here. He has a minus 150 range. We have Thickness at a plus 135. Oh boy. A lot of love for Thickness. Do you think it's because of his name, Thickness? I mean, dude, it's a hell of a last name.
It's a great name, but no, I think honestly, I kind of like his style. I kind of like his fighting style. I'm not saying he's amazing, but I think he's just one of those guys that, like, he's gritty. He's gonna fight hard. I think he's a great underdog pick. I mean, he's gonna fight for your money. This guy, Mousasa, who'd he get? I know he got.
Don't bring it back.
I know he got subbed.
He got knocked down. He got knocked down.
He got knocked down by Vera. It is the most. It's just the craziest thing. First of all, we bet the sub on this show, so I loved the sub. I appreciated him getting the sub, but the man got knocked down by Vera. That tells you what you need to know about how raw this dude is. Now, the one thing I will say is he's got massive power. So that can't be understated. I'm not saying he's a bad play. I think he's actually a good DFS play. But I think from a betting angle, I could totally see Thickness winning this fight. I could totally see him, exploiting areas that Mousasa has shown to be weaknesses. He'll attack those areas. Whereas, like, Thickness's last fight, I'm pretty sure, Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, that was on short notice against the Topuria brother.
Absolutely, it was.
And he fought, I'll give him credit. He fought pretty good, all things considered. And that dude, Topuria's brother, he's good. He's good. The one thing with Topuria's brother, he has the exact same style of pressure that Topuria has. They pressure guys the exact same way, but he needs to know when to go, like, kill, like his brother does. Like, his brother knows when he has someone and he'll just go instantly. And he's still trying to figure that out. So I think he struggled. Like, at times he'd have Thickness backing up against the cage and he'd throw these, like, sick boxing combination, 1, 2, 3, and then he'd back up and he'd have him hurt. You could tell Thickness was hurt, and he wouldn't like. Whereas Topuria, he would have just put it on him and finished him, and that was like the one thing I noticed. But either way, I thought Thickness showed out for short notice in a matchup where he was a massive dog. I think he fought admirably to a decision, to be honest with you. So that showed me in a loss, like going up against someone that's, very raw, like Mousasa's, like I think he could easily win this fight. And I think this should be like a coin flip fight, and you're getting plus money on Thickness from a betting angle.
Is this the only sport where you can have those two types of situations where they both just like sucked? No offense, they both didn't suck, but I'm saying both lost, right? And now we're dealt, okay, what's going to happen? Because Mousasa has to be the guy that's just going to get me a little bit more improved, right? I think the next two fights in this one, so these three fights in a row, are the most important on the entire slate, right? In this middle range, because when you look at this, Mousasa at 8,700 is just priced enough where he has to be exact, right? And that's the concern. The concern is exactly what you said. If Thickness is able to kind of control him against the cage, maybe get the first thing I'm looking at pick 6 is that. And I like Mousasa. I will give it outright. I think Mousasa is a great play because he's going to be a favorite at lower ownership. People are going to love themselves that money line value on Thickness. So I don't mind taking a shot because that plus 170 inside the distance is going to kill off all that Thickness ownership when he gets that first round finish. And he's more so the guy that's going to get a little bit more better. He's got a 5-inch reach advantage. You got to think he can kickbox over 3 rounds if he has to. Hopefully the gas tank is there, but he's still making improvements. I just think we often overreact, especially like you said, he got knocked down. That's horrible by Vera, but like, is that just him being nerves and just pushing himself into that situation? It could be, but the KO wizard, man. I mean, I don't think he's going to KO Thickness. I got to be honest. I think it could just be a competitive kickboxing. Therefore, you want that plus money, right? You want. Yeah. What about a plus 3.5 on Thickness? I think that betting line is actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I think you could definitely play the plus 3.5. Like I said, I'm going to probably play the money line. I like the more on control time for Thickness.
Me
I think
too.
one thing from the last fight that I noticed when he fought Topuria's brother was that when he was starting to get backed up and get uncomfortable, he was starting to shoot. And the problem was when he would shoot, Topuria knew how to counter it, and then he counter wrestled them, and he was just so much better at that than him. I don't think Mousasa is going to be able to counter wrestle the way that Topuria's brother did. So that's one thing where I think he could have an avenue there where he could easily get over that 1.5 if he can get him down to the ground. And he showed he probably is going to make some mistakes if he gets down to the ground trying to get back up. And you can't do that against, better competition. So, yeah, I like both sides of this fight for DFS, but I'm heavier on the Thickness side from a betting and DFS side if you make me pick one.
Thickness over 1.5 control time. I think we both like that. I mean, I don't love that because I do think he could get knocked out. But listen, that control time against that cage is sneaky, right? And a lot of fantasy scoring comes through there for the little, 0.03 per second or whatever. It's important. So I do like that. We'll pencil that one in for Thickness. And what do you think about my assumption that the next 3 fights, this fight, the Mousasa, this fight here is all over the place, and the next fight, these are the 3 most important fights right here? You agree with that statement?
Yes, because these are the 3 fights that I think everyone's going to want one of when they're building their lineups because they're just those mid-tier pricing. You know what I mean? Like the prices, they're going to fit your builds. And, people always like to go to the mid-tier. We always talk about this, these coin flippy fights, overtaking a, massive dog. You know what I mean? Overtaking like a 6K or low 7s underdog. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think getting these fights right for DFS is crucial. Yeah, it's crucial. And I'll just say this. I think this is my favorite of the 3. If you said which fight is your favorite for DFS purposes, I think this is my favorite.
All right, I'll debate you a little here coming up.
Well, which one's your favorite? Is it the Malarkey fight?
Dude, it's a Petroski roasting. Petroski either dies. Don't get me going. We'll get to Petroski.
It's not the next fight. It's the fight after that. Okay. I'm wrong on both counts.
Yeah, no, I'm looking at Petroski going, yeah, I'm licking my chops. I saw that question.
Listen, Benair, stop fucking with me on the boosts, okay? What's your favorite guy? Favorite one? Stop fucking around with me. Hey, JSU, DK has a method of victory boost. What is your favorite one? Do they even have a method of victory boost? I didn't get one of those. Now you're going to make me pick.
I mean, I'm sure he wants to use a boost on a fun one, right? He doesn't want.
I don't even have that. Benair. I think Benair's just trying to fuck with me right now.
He's trolling.
Oh, they do have a boost.
They do have a boost. I've never gotten one. I've never gotten one, but hey, it could be state by state, right? Here's the thing.
I don't know. Do you have a method of victory that do you have a method of victory you like that you'd boost if you could pick one? Trying to think.
Let Brandon send it to you. Let me see, because I want to get him a winner, but I also would like him to have some upside. It's his style, right? Let's break down this Bedoya versus Malarkey while we're going over that Malarkey, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, we have Ronaldo Bedoya as the underdog, priced as the favorite on DraftKings. Okay, we have a very interesting situation for fantasy wise. Malarkey minus 125 favorite at this stage. This has been all over the place for betting. It has bounced around throughout the entire week. I remember clicking Bedoya and seeing him at minus, I don't know, 125 earlier in the week, and okay, he's got the striking. Malarkey is just a very interesting fantasy because sometimes he doesn't have a chin, therefore he's giving up a lot of points. Sometimes he goes for that wrestling and he gets that control time, he gets those takedowns. We've seen that in the first few fights for him. He goes, and gets a lot of points that way. Somewhat of an all-action fight. I worry about a correction for both of these guys, right? Bedoya, can you believe that Bedoya is 0-3 in the UFC? Doesn't he seem like he snuck out a win or two? He's not great, but he feels chaos.
Yes.
He won the chaos fight.
Yes, by the way he fights, I can see how he lose decisions. By the way he fights. Yes, I agree with you. He probably should have a win in the UFC at this point. And I agree with you on the Williams fight, but I'm just saying the way he fights, you can have bad judges and lose fights easily with the way his style. That's all I'm saying. And again, I think you're right about the correction with both these guys. Because Malarkey on the other side, look at who he's lost to. And first of all, I think Jamie Malarkey is not good. He's another example of a guy who is not amazing at anything, but he's just okay at every avenue of, MMA, but his chin is just dust. So I never liked Malarkey, but the guys he's lost to, Mike, are let's be honest, they're pretty good fighters. Look at who he's gotten KO'd by. Ruffy, Happeras, Naimov. Those are pretty good goddamn, KO losses, to be honest with you. Those are good fighters.
Can I say that Malarkey was minus 500 against Naimov? I had Naimov.
Oh, no, you don't have to tell me. I bet Naimov inside the distance.
What? I'm so happy we're on this podcast together because we're probably the only two. And on fantasy, he was single digit. I think it was a 20 grand type of night, 555 shipper with him because the ultimate
I bet against Malarkey on every single fight, his last 4 fights. So I've been wrong once on him, but I'm fine betting against him most of the time.
Yeah, let's talk about the X's and O's. I talked about the concern that I have. You said this is your favorite. I hate it. Dude, I hate it. I got to debate you.
The last fight was fight. Don't get it twisted. The last fight was my favorite.
Okay.
I did not say this fight was my favorite.
Oh, JSU, I was I'm going to talk you off the bridge, dude, because this is the fight that I'm please let everybody play this fight. You have a money line value, right? What does everybody do? The higher dollar, the 555, the single entry. What do? They click Malarkey right away because you get an 8K from minus 125. There's a big fallacy because when this thing goes to a decision, I don't care. This thing could be 60 points for the winner because if Malarkey grounds Bedoya for a round, there kills all of Bedoya's love. If Bedoya keeps this thing on the feet, kind of, stops him, it's just going to be a lot of stalling techniques. Then Bedoya wins. There's not a lot on that side either. This is a fade for me. I mean, I'm concerned, right? You and I both have major concerns because like Malarkey could get starts, but it seems to me that like Bedoya is the side. I mean, I get lower ownership. I don't care about the $200 on this particular slate. Do you? Like $200 is nothing on this slate.
No, and I'm with you. I would lean the Bedoya side with the volume if you made me pick a side, but I'm not a Malarkey guy. I could see the winner scoring 60 for sure. I will say for pick 6, it is interesting. You look at like the significant strike lines. Like I think this fight does go to decision, and I could see Bedoya getting over his significant strike line at 62.5 if it's mainly standing. But I don't like much else, and I'm with you on the fight. I mean, I really don't like either of these guys. I think both these guys are not that good. So that's why, like, betting-wise, like, give me the guy that is, plus money in a coin flippy fight. I know the line's going a little more into Malarkey's favor. He might have, like, a little edge if it did get to the ground, but I don't know. I see these fighters kind of closer, I guess, and I mean, the line is still only -130, -110. So yeah, not a fight I'm going to enjoy that much. Not a fight that I'm not gonna care that much of, but
if I'm not going to touch it, and let's not touch this, but the over fight time, I know it's a 0.8. Let's not add it. That's the only thing I would be looking at here. And even that, like we said, is a little bit of concern because of Malarkey. Yeah, I don't know. This is not one
because of his chin.
Yeah, absolutely. Or, I mean, a fluky Malarkey type of take his back or some crazy, stupid. Like, look at chat. Even chat's like, they suck. I mean, it's true. Suck. They both suck.
And I agree with chat. So, like, they both suck. And, it could just be two guys that just slug it out on the feet for 3 rounds, and we get a shitty decision.
Bigger octagon.
Sometimes, though, when two guys suck, one shitty fighter still ends up outdoing the other shitty fighter, though. So we got to keep that in mind. I'm more with Mike, though. Like, I think this fight could disappoint. Mm-hmm. And if it does, I think it's going to bring a decent amount of ownership with it, especially on the Malarkey side, if it does suck. So I will be rooting for this fight to crash and burn. Let me see what I have. Let me just look and see. I've got, honestly,
ownership
no, me personally, exposure-wise, I have 15% Malarkey and I have 15% Malarkey and 15% Bedoya. And honestly, I don't know if I want the 15%. So
I was just gonna say they're about 25 each. You're under the field on both. That's the way to play it. I like under on both. So. Yeah, these 3 fights, like I said, people are going to want a piece of that. We just talked about the one before, this Malarkey Bedoya, and the next one up.
I don't know. K-Falix Burner, sometimes low-level women's MMA fights bring out bangers. So I wouldn't go too crazy on that saying. But yes, it could be a boring low-level women's MMA fight. But a lot of times low-level women's MMA, you see one dominate the other. Because one is, even if they're both bad, one is still much better than the other a lot of times.
Well, where does it come through? It comes through volume striking or dominant grappling, which directly correlates to a higher score. So absolutely something. Make sure you guys are continuing to smash the like button on there. Make sure you're getting your questions in chat. Get in the Discord. Isn't that a great way to answer the questions? Get your question answered pretty quickly, JSU?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty simple. You can add us in the Discord. You sign up. Run Pure Premium, you can get all the sports, but you sign up, link your Discord from the site, and it's super easy. If you have any issues or any questions about linking your Discord, we have a customer support chat, a waiting room where you can add us in there. And, if you need help getting linked in and getting set up, we'll help you in there. So yeah, I mean, easy. Anyone that joins, any membership you can get in the Discord. So it's super simple. All you got to do is link it up from the website. And if you have any issues, just hit us up in the customer support chat and we'll help you out.
Sounds like a plan. Get in there, guys. Let's go on to, I don't want to say it's my favorite fight, but I think it has to be a leverage point. It's a huge situation for the whole entire slate. A lot of love coming in on Cam Roston versus Andre Petroski. We have Cam Roston as the underdog, but man, he's getting some love through the week. He actually has a better inside the distance line than his opponent, and I think you guys by now know how much I love that JSU. So at Petroski on -185, Roaston +160. I'm going to give you my breakdown quick and then throw it to you, JSU, because I think it's as simple as this. If Petroski gets that takedown game going against the bigger guy at lower ownership, I expect it to be one of the rare situations where Petroski might be lower owned and he's, affordable at 8,500. And then you look at Roaston's going to be 17%. I don't really necessarily agree with that on my. I think it's going to be higher for Roaston because he's just got the size, he's got the kickboxing, right? This is such an important fight because Petroski has literally run himself into a hip bone and knocked his ass out. I'm sorry. It'll always be in my head. This guy has no chin sometimes. Sometimes he's on the good stuff that keeps him alive. This fight is so important because if Petroski gets a 3-round dominant takedown, he's going to score 130 points. I guarantee this fight is so important. Roaston has a path of knocking him out early. If he can stop those takedowns with that length and he just pushes that head down, maybe he runs into another hip bone. A little humor there, but maybe he's going to have the volume on the striking. This could be so high scoring both ways. And I only have one concern. If Petroski has a dominant first round, it's going to limit that Roaston upside. At 7,700, you're still going to need a solid score out of Roaston, but I am overweight to Roaston, and it's terrifying because I'm looking at the pick 6, and I almost put it down with that first pick with the Peris pick. I'm looking at Petroski, and I want to hit the under, but I know it's a scary play because of that takedown upside, perhaps a submission, so I can't do it. But another guy I don't love, but I know there's fantasy, right? We know what Petroski can do, and it's a huge score. Where do you think the ownership comes in? That's what I'm going to throw to you. It's terrifying because Petroski, there's no way that he's that high to 25. I don't think people want to click him. Look at the range he's going against. Knockout guys.
Yeah. So what do you have him at right now? Because I'm seeing like 28%. Where are you at?
I'm seeing him right there. 25% for Petroski. Let's just say 15% for simplicity to 20% on Roaston. So lower ownership on Roaston. I'm going to have to play the lower owned guy at that percentage.
I agree with you. And this could be another fight that disappoints for DFS, but I think the upside is on Roaston. Honestly, like I could see Petroski winning this fight and scoring 60 fantasy points. I would still like the under on his fantasy points because, man, there's just this crazy stat about Andre Petroski, and he's fucking terrible. Like he is terrible. When he cannot wrestle, he's not good, okay? When he cannot implement his wrestling and I'm going to call it stalling, because a lot of times when he's wrestling, he's laying on you, and he's just laying on you, all right? I'll be honest. There's no sick ground and pound or anything. It's just annoying sometimes, but look at some of his wins. I mean, like Dylan Budka, Josh Frem, like what are we looking at here?
JSU.
Seriously, I'm not saying Rouston's amazing. I don't know, but I know one thing. I know Andre Petroski is nothing special. That's all I know.
You should be taking that level of competition out. There's a certain threshold in the UFC that, yes, going to a decision with these types of fighters are not the best look in the world. And when you're breaking down, in particular, Contender Series, myself, I'm looking at it going, you've got this guy is like 6-0. Oh, he's a jiu-jitsu ace, right? Let's, say like a Petroski's guy. But he's got his log shows 1 million jiu-jitsu matches. So it looks like he's got a better record, but he's faced nobodies. Roaston, here's the situation. Torres Finney took him down 10 times. Can you believe it was a unanimous decision? But Roaston outstruck Finney in that fight.
Yeah, there was a thing to be made that Roaston had a good chance to win that fight if he could have stopped one takedown towards the end of that fight. So that fight was tough to watch.
That's why we're playing with fire in this fight. That's why I think it's the most important one, because like a dominant win out of either fighter is immediately
the only
optimal.
thing I'll say is Andre Petroski has the ability to take him down. I agree with you. I just don't know if he's at the relentlessness that Torres Finney, because Torres Finney knew like he couldn't strike with Rouston. Like he could not strike. So he had to just continuously take him down. I don't know if Petroski is going to feel that way, where it's like he's desperate to get a takedown. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't think Petroski's striking is that good. I agree. Like it's very like, there's no like fluidity to it. Whereas like Rouston, I think he's got a little more like fluid type of striking.
He's huge. Have you seen him?
Yeah, he's big. Yeah, he's huge.
I mean,
he's tall.
He's the biggest
he's
guy
rangy. Yeah.
in the division, lengthwise. And
I think he's legit. I want to see him against like, someone like Petroski. So like UFC level type comp where I can be like, okay, let's see if this kid really has it. Cause he might have it. You know what I mean? He might be good. And I think he's well-rounded as long as he can stay off his back. And I think even in the Finney fight, he showed even when he gets taken down, he could get up. That was at least the thing I took from it was like, okay, you're getting taken down 10 times. You're showing that at least you're getting back up and then going back down. And maybe Petroski just gets tired.
Oh, he will. I mean, he's usually huffing and puffing by 7.5 minutes. You and I both like the under 75.5 for Petroski. Yep. We're going to lock that one in on pick 6. I almost have a feeling because I was a little concerned. Like I said, it's a home game for Roaston. They're shipping up certain fighters and molds. They're shipping over here to Perth to do a job. Let's put it that way, right? Like the UFC knows what they're doing. They're fighting at an odd time. They're not in comfort, right, zone. So I like it. Let's go under Petroski, but we know the caution. If he is able to get that takedown game, yes, it's going to look terrible in hindsight.
I kind of hope he does. I kind of hope he relentlessly goes for takedowns early, and he kind of gasses himself out. What about Cam Rouston round 3?
Yeah, 2. Can we pair it on DK 2-3 or? I think it's usually 3 or decision usually, right?
I think we can do 3 or decision or just 3. But round 3 finish, if you just want to do winning round, you could do plus 700. You just take the winning round. Or if you want to do Cam Rouston round 3, it's plus 1,400 on DraftKings. I mean,
not to mention,
it's not a bad number.
You know, what you just said is very interesting because I'm looking right now at Cam Roaston's significant strikes. What about a little bit of a ladder? I mean, a little sprinkle on the ladder.
What's the number on the
35 significant strikes is the first number at plus 110. He could make 35 in the first round, getting taken down once, honestly, just due to the sheer aggression from Petroski. Just something I'm throwing out there. I like ladders. You look at that fight in that first round for Roaston, he had 26 significant strikes, knocked his opponent down twice.
I will say the one thing, Petroski, if I remember correctly, that head stays still a lot, and he could be a punching bag for Roaston if it's just on the feet with that length and size.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And you talk about punching bags. I'm not going to call Rodolfo Bolato a punching bag, but I don't know if he's necessarily the best in the world. We have Navajo Sterling versus Rodolfo Bolato. Got a favorite here, shocker, in the area. I know there's a difference between New Zealand and Australia. Apparently it's so far. I still group it together. I'm basic, I know. But from the area, Sterling minus 285 favorite. Bolato a plus 245. I just kind of poo-pooed on Bolato not being the best, but one of the better leverage plays on this slate. I think Sterling is ever evolving, right? I think he's got the skills. I think what was very, very interesting to me last fight out was the ability to mix in 3 takedowns. Ivan Urslon, not the best guy in the world. We're going to talk about him in a few fights. I like to see a guy evolve his game, right? You have the huge volume coming from Sterling. You have the ability to now just say, okay, well, I can just take him down and get some scoring criteria there. That's very interesting. I don't think people are going to be clamoring to get Navajo Sterling in their lineups. I know he's like 33 to 40% maybe owned, somewhere in that range. But then you look at Bolato. Bolato's path to victory is pretty strong. I probably, 7.5 minutes, JSU, of, maybe go out there, take your head off. I mean, The other line I liked in this one, and it's kind of just because of that newfound takedown glory, is takedowns for Sterling. Just one takedown for him plus 150. What do you think about that line? I looked at that this week and I went, he could strike into that range to just be like, all right, you're tired in the second and third round, I'm taking you down. There's plus 150.
So it's interesting. So you look at that as a plus. I looked at the Navajo Sterling takedowns from the last fight as a negative. This is a striker. This is a striker that has the edge, quickness. His kicks are nice. He's got really nice 1-2 down the pipe, throws it straight. And he was facing a dude who just loves to bomb overhand rights. There's nothing much more about Urslon's game to like break down other than he loves the big overhand right. And he kept connecting on the overhand right. And he kept hurting Navajo Sterling. And then what did Sterling do? He went to wrestling, which I was worried about because I'm like, you're supposed to have the edge in this situation. And for some of the fight, it looked like he had an edge. But then for some of the fight, it looked like Urslon was hurting him and honestly was somehow in better condition at some points of the fight than he was. And that made me worry because Rodolfo Bolato is not a good fighter, but he's going to keep fighting. He doesn't move his head, so he's very hittable, right? But he's going to get in your face. He throws very heavy leg kicks. I don't think his striking is like amazing either because he doesn't move his head, which is definitely bad. But the one thing I thought was interesting about Bolato was in the Jimmy Croo fight. Do you remember the first round? Do you remember how Bolato got on his back? Do you remember how it happened?
Not entirely.
He went for a body lock takedown, was in extremely deep, and somehow Jimmy Croo managed to land on top of him. And Bolato went for the takedown on Jimmy Croo, and he just reversed right on top of him, and that's how he ended up on the ground for the rest of that round, taking elbows and other shit from Jim. I think the significant strikes were like 46-2 or something after that round. And he somehow survived. And I know it's Jimmy Croo. We're going to talk about him in a sec. And then went to a decision that was an extremely close decision that could have went either way, honestly, and ended up being a draw. It's like that to me, I think what he's going to do, I think he's going to get in Navajo's face because Navajo likes to be in kicking range. And I think he's going to pressure him, and I think he's going to try and get him uncomfortable, and he might be the one that shoots on Navajo because Navajo's got the speed advantage. Navajo's got the advantage in the stand-up just in general, I think. But if he can calf kick to slow down Navajo's movement side to side, I think his game plan might be that, get in his face, and then maybe him force the takedowns. If he's doing it to Jimmy Croo, Jimmy Croo's not a good striker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if he's doing that, I think he's going to try and do it to Sterling. Will it work? I don't know. Sterling could reverse and get on top of him just like Jimmy Croo did. But I like the takedown the other way, honestly. I mean, I could see both of them getting a takedown at some point. But
I think at the end of the day, what you and I are both saying is Bolato's a good underdog pick when he wins. It's the price. It's the upside potential. I don't necessarily think he wins, but that doesn't matter, right? You need exposure. If you're building 10 lineups, you need exposure to certain guys and be able to take your stand. And Bolato's that type of guy if you want to go there. Don't
forget, too, this is the best fighter that Navajo will face. I think he's the best fighter Navajo is going to face. So just keep that in mind, too. And that doesn't mean Navajo can't knock him out. The reason why, like, I'm surprised Navajo's getting 30+% ownership because he's not like a great DFS play just the way he fights. He's not like a killer. He likes to just stick and move. The only time it's like what I said about Luana Karolina kind of fits in a way Navajo Sterling, where like when he knows for a fact he's got you really, really compromised, will he go in for the kill? So it's like frustrating from that sense, but he could, all he's got to do is throw a 1-2. If he just throws 1-2s down the pipe, Mike, he's going to hurt Bolato at some point. If he just sticks to that game plan, throw a head kick, throw a 1-2, maybe mix it up to the body just a little bit. But those three things, he's going to catch Bolato's head with either the 1-2 or the head kick.
Dude, look at the size of Bolato's head. I mean,
dude, it's massive. And it
talked about Petroski.
Stays there.
Yeah, and I guess I'll hit two things and we'll move on to the next one. It's a coin flip. DraftKings Sportsbook -110 inside the distance for Sterling finish. So it's exactly to your point. They just know that he doesn't sometimes go for that finish if he has it presented in front of him. And how fun was that Iho Preteria versus Rodolfo Bolato fight, man? That was one of the crazier live betting, crazier things happening. Love that fight.
Ripping and sipping. He knows, says throws the 1-2 down the pipe. He knows that's all he has to do. If he does that, he's going to win. He'll probably win by knockout.
And I think the other thing we uncovered here, we both don't really love this fight, but we still think that there's a little bit of fantasy relevance for Bolato. I think it goes to a decision. I don't think it's an early finish, honestly. I think
it goes to a decision as well. Like the Navajo line, it +100 by KO is nice, obviously, and I do think he's got the ability to do it. But one fun bet I did sprinkle is 12-1 by submission for Bolato. I did just sprinkled a little bit on the 12-1 sub.
Why don't you cover it? Let me tell you. Let me just make sure who would what it is winning method, because that would cover you on both sides, which is submissions +650. So that's actually smart. He's probably the better side to do that. That's good, because I was going to say you'd have the Navajo side. If it was like +1,000, you'd rather that. But
yeah. If it was +1,000, 100%.
+650, you can't. That you're on the better side of the value there. I like that. Move on to another absolute friggin' banger. I mean, this fight. Why can't this be in the friggin' small octagon at Apex? We need this fight in a smaller cage, but that's okay. We have Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell, -135 to -155s out there for Tom Nolan. Charlie Campbell, later notice. It's not super late notice for Charlie, because he's replacing Evan Elder, which, again, that fight would have been a banger too. It's almost like any Tom Nolan fight ends up being pretty fun. But we have Charlie Campbell, late notice, that maybe goes for takedowns. I mean, this is interesting. I think stylistically he has more tools in the pocket. I really think that he's got tools to win the fight. The sharper kickboxing at distance concerns me for fantasy relevance. If there's not a finish in this Tom Nolan and Campbell fight, I don't know where it goes for scoring. Give me your breakdown. I'm not going to say anything more, because it's a tricky fight on a card that has some pretty obvious plays, but this seems to be the one that I'm leaving out personally. When I'm building, I'm like, shit, I know I need a piece of it, but is there a world where it busts?
Yeah, I think there's a world where this fight could bust. Charlie Campbell is going to be very popular too at 7,600, I think. And he does have paths, honestly. I mean, when you go watch the Trevor Peek fight, it's a little concerning. Like, he had Trevor Peek down a few times and really couldn't do anything. And Trevor Peek just found his way back to his feet. And we know Trevor Peek, again, not the best, fighter overall. He's just tough. He's tough. He's gritty. He's never going to stop. He's not going to quit. But Charlie Campbell was the better fighter, but the fight still looked closer than it probably should have been with the way it went. And that was what worried me about the
tomahawk.
Yeah, dude. So there was the best part of that whole fight was there was 2 times during the fight where Trevor Peek, Charlie Campbell would start to get tired, so he'd start to back up, and Trevor Peek realized it. So he'd start to do these wild swinging hooks, right? And he'd hit him in the face, and Charlie Campbell would be running across the octagon as he's getting hit. And then all of a sudden, for no reason, Trevor Peek would just come down with a tomahawk after he was hitting him in the face with hooks. And I'm just like, what are you doing? Keep hitting him in the face with hooks. Why are you doing this stupid tomahawk
marketing
thing?
It's marketing, JSU. You know this right away. It's marketing. You can stay on the tomahawk.
He just wanted the tomahawk knockout so bad, so friggin' bad. But that's what worries me a little bit is Trevor Peek had moments where he was hurting Charlie Campbell big time. Tom Nolan, like you said, at range, if he can fight his fight, and Charlie Campbell, maybe if he gets inside of Tom Nolan, he might be the better boxer. If it gets inside and they fight a little closer, but Tom Nolan's definitely better at range, and he mixes it up really well. And if he fights that fight, I think he wins the decision here, and I think he wins it pretty convincingly. Charlie's got to make it kind of a dogfight. He's kind of got to do what Trevor Peek was trying to do.
He's going to put
against
himself
him.
in danger, big danger, if he's doing that. And two things. One, that Alex Reyes fight is one of the most infuriating minus infinity favorites that can't finish the fight. I think everybody and their mother saw the minus 2,500 and was like, okay, yeah, I can't put that into parlays, but I can put my inside the distance at minus 800 in a parlay. And he goes out there and just says, nah, well, I'll just go to a decision against the worst Alex Reyes, the brother, right? There's always a good brother and a bad brother.
Always.
Alex Reyes, not UFC level. That was infuriating. So was it Brandon looking for a line here? I think it's minus 150. Minus 150 fight to finish by knockout. And you nailed it here. Charlie Campbell has to put himself in danger to win this fight. And I do like the Nolan side a significant amount. I think he's the one that's going to develop. I was never a Campbell guy. The Campbell loss on Contender Series against Chris Duncan is one of the scariest knockouts you will ever see. When Chris Duncan, they're both going to war, he counters them, right? And he's dead. He's dead before he hits the mat. Like, it is horrifying. That one always stuck with me. Imagine the power coming from Tom Nolan. I wish it was a smaller cage. I know it's a 50% boost for our guy here in chat, but I mean, plus 100, I'm not greedy. So that's a safer. I'll try to get you a little boost that's a little bit more fun. We'll give him an upside one too, so don't lock that in yet. But again, wish it was a smaller cage. Wish this fight was in the Apex. I'd be slamming the knockout prop if that were the case. Let's talk about ownership. I mean, you talk about a handcuff, kind of a leverage play. I'm seeing massive ownership on Campbell here at 35%, and we have Tom Nolan at 25%. That's the ownership in my own personal. I'm very shocked by that. It makes a hell of a lot of sense because the all-action type of spot where either guy could knock each other out. And let's be honest, if you're going to play a side like this and it goes to a decision, you probably want a Campbell, right? Campbell's equity, the deeper this fight goes, actually exponentially grows because I think he has more tools in the fight to really pull it off.
Yeah, I agree with you. The thing with Charlie Campbell, though, is that the way he's going to have to fight, I think he's going to slow down at some point too. Like we saw in the Trevor Peek fight. The only reason why he won was because Trevor Peek was slowing down more than he was. Let's be honest. Because if Trevor Peek had anything left in him and could keep his hands up a little bit, he would have probably ended up finishing Charlie Campbell. So that's the question. And with the bigger cage, like you said, Tom Nolan might not, even if he tries this on Tom Nolan, it might not even work, right? That's the other thing. It just might not work. So I'm on the Tom Nolan side. I think it's going to be a pretty big leverage spot for me because of how much ownership I think. What do you have Charlie Campbell coming in at?
I have Charlie Campbell at 35% expected, and that is pretty much across the industry here.
He's going to be the most popular 7K fighter.
I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I think Roaston and him are the two that are going to get the ownerships because of the upside. And Campbell, what is Campbell's inside the distance? I'll pop it up right now. Don't worry, I got it. Plus 225, so it's like a direct kill off that ownership. And you look at Nolan, plus 125, plus 150 is out there. I mean, it's really good for his price.
DK plus 150 for Tom Nolan if you like him inside the distance. I mean, I think that's a fine bet.
I'm trying to see these fantasy points here. I wish I could take that Campbell under fantasy points or significant strikes. That's the line to bet right there is one of those two. But let's pass on it for pick 6 wise. But I do think that this fight is very interesting when it finishes. But when it doesn't finish, come back to the video. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be great for going to the decision. But we have a veteran versus a veteran. And it's funny. Jake Matthews is only 31 years old. Did you know that? I
did, just because I was like looking at all his stuff before, so I remember that. But
it's dumbfounding because he's grown so much in the UFC. He might be like one of the first cases of literal development on the UFC mat, and he takes on Neil Magny, another veteran. Both of these guys pushing like 40 fights, 30, 40 fights each. They're awesome. But man, I can never get either guy right. I got to be honest right off the bat. You look at the fantasy side of things. I have concerns that they stall each other out for fantasy. Matthews sometimes can come out hot, can stall out some of it with takedown control time. That control time is the first thing I'm looking at pick 6, at a minute 30 for Matthews. That is very, very interesting. Betting line minus 350 to minus 400s out there for Matthews. Magny a plus 285. I told you that Karolina was the lowest owned fighter on the slate. Typically, when you have the biggest underdog, they're the lowest owned. It's very interesting. I kind of just like to throw it out there, food for thought. Magny is a guy who, as long as his durability stands up, he can keep a fight pretty close. I think that last fight out was a little bit of an outlier. Let's not look too much into it against Zaleski dos Santos. Had him as an underdog in that spot last time, as a slight underdog. He was 74 on DraftKings without me digging too deep into it. But, I mean, his fights have been producing, right? For fantasy Magny fights, they always have. I'm going to tell you something very interesting, though. If this thing stays on the feet in his kickboxing, it's split decision written all over it.
Yeah, no, I don't know if it's split decision, but if it stays on the feet, it's decision for sure. And I like Jake Matthews. I like his boxing. Honestly, I think it's pretty good. He obviously has good grappling, but the one thing people just need to stay away from with Neil Magny is getting held up against the cage. Like, just stay away from the clinch situations, which is where he wants to be, and you win the fight. That's just the easiest way to break down a Neil Magny fight. So I agree with you. I could see ways where this fight stalls very easily, because that's a Neil Magny tactic. And if Jake Matthews tries to play into it, then that's how you get split decision, I think, written all over it. Or even a Jake Matthews loss. That's how he could lose this fight. If it's just a standing, fight for 3 rounds and Jake Matthews can just box with Neil Magny, I think Jake Matthews wins that fight, but I don't think it scores well for fantasy. So that's the flip side to this fight here. So I'm probably lower on it than the field. I mean, Jake Matthews, I might get close to actually his ownership, just looking at my exposure. But
I'm going to have Magny.
I don't love it. I don't love it.
I'm taking Magny just to open up salary. Think of the builds that you can do with Magny. Okay,
I just like the Bolato. I like some of these other
that's fine
guys as cheapies, but I get taking the Magny side for
well,
DFS.
I guess you need some exact things to happen if you're taking Magny, right? You're thinking that all the favorites are and chalk run out, because those other underdogs you're talking about, the Bolatos of the world, have a little bit better of a ceiling, right, in their wins, or condition wise is probably going to be a better scoring. I don't necessarily think you need high scores, because what do we have, a 12 fight card? I mean, it's 12 fight card. So like, I'm looking for winners. I don't give a shit if it's a split decision, honestly, because the way that we it's like Magny is one of those guys that a win at that price is just going to pay off 10x. Let's hope, pray, right? But you mentioned it, that weird control time against the cage, probably won't be a ton of significant strikes. That's at least how I'm going to get a little bit different in GPP. And it's nothing I would advise anybody to do besides myself, because I'm crazy. If you're going to take Jake Matthews, I find it difficult to do. I mean, what are you hoping for? Takedowns, and then he just gets ground and pound and finds a finish? Because at 9,600, he's 200 more than anybody else on the entire slate. It's just hard to get up to him. And I imagine optimal rates don't have him very high, because his inside the distance line is plus 140. So it's just, you have so much stronger plays below him.
I think you need a knockout.
Yeah. Which
I think he could give you, honestly. Like I said, I guess I like his striking a little bit more than you, but I think he could give that to you. I agree with you, though. It's not a fight that I want to put you know, I want to be like crazy overweight on in general, because I could see how this fight, you know, doesn't get there in general. But I kind of feel the same way about this fight and the next fight. Like I could see paths where both these fights bust for DFS. The Jack Jenkins fight and the Jake Matthews fight, I think they're very similar. They're different in how they play out to get there, but I think they're very similar in the fact that I could see it just being a sloppy decision where both guys score like shit.
100%. We'll get to the Jenkins. We have in chat, sorry I'm late, favorite low-owned gem on the DK large field. I think we could say that favorite we just saw. We saw a favorite at lower ownership compared to an underdog. That might be the interesting play.
Who was it again?
Tom Nolan. We both saw it lower ownership
Tom Nolan,
as a favorite with the upside. Just throwing it out there, that's a potential one. It doesn't necessarily say an underdog, but sometimes a lower owned favorite that has direct leverage to kill off a high owned underdog is sometimes the way to go. Any other plays you think, JSU?
Just trying to look at the ownership. I mean, Cam Rouson's going to be pretty low owned.
Yep.
I don't mind taking shots on him. At 15% just seems low in general. So.
I love it. I love the Roaston side as well. I like the Nolan, but the Nolan range makes me want to sprinkle the Mousasa type of play, Nolan, Croo, you know, guys like that. But let's move on to the next fight that you honestly would let us right into. It's Roen Tavvaris versus Jack Jenkins, minus 300 range for Jenkins, Tavvaris a plus 260. We often talk about split decision props, and oh my God, Jack Jenkins, he's an interesting case. Okay. I'm going to give you, I don't know if you know, in this Boston area, I sponsor a fighter. His name is Don Shanis. Don Shanis had 2 fights in the UFC. Okay. Love the guy. He's amazing. Yep. Yeah. His debut fight will go down as one of the biggest opportunities anyone's ever had. And he was against Sodiq Yusuff. Don Shanis was. He shot in. I knew the game plan. He was shooting in. He shot in on the wrong side, got caught in a submission. But at least he had a good game plan. Game plans win fights. Jack Jenkins, he wanted to kickbox for a little bit. I know that. I think Don Shanis, and this is a very big non-bias, okay, breaking it down. He was a minus 400 favorite, almost the same type of spot against Jack was. Jack's not great on the mat. It's not like Tavvaris isn't going to do anything, but Shanis really exposed those flaws on the mat. Believe it or not, Shanis scored 52 fantasy points in a loss against Jack Jenkins. So I think that really opened my eyes to, I don't know if Jack Jenkins is all that UFC caliber. That's where I'm leading to with the point here, right? And it's concerning because clearly they're not going to be a ton of grappling. I think Tavvaris is the kickboxer at range, going to keep this thing slower pace. Obviously a different stylistic matchup, but I'm just saying there's not a lot to love here for fantasy. I think it's a slower pace kickboxing match, maybe some low kicks. If the low kicks end up turning somebody getting hurt, you're going to try to grab the waist, get that control time, whether it be through takedowns, whether it just be hold them against the cage. Jack Jenkins needs to bounce back. The UFC knows what they're doing. They say, all right, Jack, you're third from the top here. We're giving you an opportunity to shine. I don't think Roen Tavvaris is all that good. I wish I could pull the trigger on him because I do think that in a win, it might be interesting if he does hurt Jack. But that's a lot of damage he got against Gabriel Santos. Remember how much damage Jack acquired there? It was not good.
Yeah, so the one thing I'll say about Jack Jenkins, and I don't want to sound like I'm a Jack Jenkins defender because I've bet against him in his last 2 losses to Chepe and Santos. And, you know, I was pretty adamant about why he would lose. The specific thing that I want you to remember about Jack Jenkins is they gave him guys that are, you know, grapplers recently, guys who can get him down to the mat, can exploit Jack Jenkins. And that's kind of what you're talking about a little bit.
Yep.
This is a fight where they gave him a guy that will not exploit those holes. And actually, I think Jack Jenkins, if anything, would have the advantage
big time
getting it down than someone like Tavvaris. So I don't think this fight is going to hit the mat. If it did, I think it'd actually be on the Jack Jenkins side. Even the Santos fight, like you watch that fight, Jack Jenkins was doing some stuff on the feet. He was doing some stuff on the feet. And then in the second round, stuff started to change. And then he ended up getting finished, right? And we're all like, oh, Jack Jenkins, he sucks. Which, I mean, I agree. Jack Jenkins is kind of a one-trick pony in a way. But
he's got a cool name. I think the name drives the value. It's a good Jack Jenkins just sounds like a brewski or something.
If you tell me a fight's going to stay on the feet, Jack Jenkins is a better mixed martial arts fighter in that scenario. So that to me makes me feel better about him. Doesn't make me feel better though from a DFS scoring again, because I don't know, is a second round knockout going to get us? Maybe it gets us there at 9,400. I don't know if it will.
Don't bury the lead. 9,400 is too much on this slate. There's so many superior plays below Jack Jenkins. It's Roen Tavvaris. What was the fluke one in the Contender Series? This is the guy who came in. Remember, he had to have like
City.
Yeah,
he was fighting City. He complained because City knocked him down, and he thought the stoppage was kind of quick. So Dana was like, okay, So I think it was his first fight in the UFC? He just gave him the rematch.
Yeah.
And he ended up winning that fight. It was not a boring decision, but it was a decision fight. It didn't score well in DFS. He scored 65 points. And you could see something similar to that here, where maybe he doesn't win, but Jack Jenkins scores like 65 in a decision.
Well, he's got good takedown defense. That's the problem.
Yeah, I don't think Jack Jenkins is gonna. I think Jack Jenkins wants to be on the feet. I think he wants to. I think he wants the calf kick. He wants to get inside with Tavvaris, which Tavvaris is pretty good as a boxer. So you got to be careful with that. But I don't know. I think they gave him a guy who's going to give him Jack Jenkins type of fight, and whether he wins or loses, like this is the fight Jack Jenkins wants. He doesn't want a grappler. He doesn't want to have to deal with someone who's really pushing to get him down to the mat.
What is the line that you and I want for pick 6? It may or may not be locked. We want the over takedowns.
I was going to say.
It's the one that's locked, we're staring at that. There's not a lot to be had, I don't think, on the pick 6 side of things. But, yeah. It's the fight where, like, also the ownership is like 25 to 30% for Jack. That's just too high. This is an underweight type of situation for me. Like I said, below him is the main event. And then we go even lower down to Jimmy Croo, who ends up in this next fight, the co-main event of the evening, where we see Jimmy Croo versus Ivan Urslon.
Jimmy Croo is a co-main event in a UFC fight night card. It couldn't get any better. Jimmy Croo as a co-main.
So I have a book of do's and don'ts, and one of them is trying not to back guys that have retired. I think that's a very good call. I think trying not to back guys that retire that are minus 230 favorites for what reason? I guess because his opponent's bad, but what is he? Like, you see the
he's
size?
not amazing.
Did you see the weigh-ins? It was like, this is a little bit concerning because Ivan is holding up to him, and Croo's like doing his little kind of intimidation. Ivan's like, yeah, dude, I don't care about that. Let's just say, yeah, minus 230. Croo, you said it. Plus 200 range for Urslon. Another elite type of leverage, right? If you take Urslon, Croo's durability is still questionable. What is this guy before he retired? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 straight losses. One of those losses being Rodolfo Bolato. Alonzo Menefield does not age very well. That one always sticks in my head. Anthony Smith, of course, always somehow a top 10, top 5 guy. I don't like it, but I have to pull the trigger on him. I'm sighing. The deep sigh, the pain that I have to try to take Jimmy Croo in lineups, and I don't like it because he's going to have the ownership with him. He's going to be 40 to 50%. The higher owned contests are going to be a hell of a lot higher. The single owned, he's going to be higher owned. If that takedown doesn't present itself, he's screwed. He's going to gas himself out.
Yeah, I agree. And pretty much all Urslon has to do is get to the second round. Because if he gets to the second round, Jimmy Croo's going to be tired. He's going to be tired from trying to grapple, whether he has success grappling. If he could survive, Urslon's going to come in. Jimmy Crute's going to have his hands low. And against Bolato, he got away with it because, Bolato got his face pounded into the mat in that first round with elbows. And I think the second round, he was kind of seeing stars for a lot of that round. But Urslon's just going to come in and he's going to throw big. He's not going to throw a shit ton, but when he throws, it's going to be big. It's going to be powerful. And he can easily catch Jimmy Crute here. That's why, as a bet, I'm on Urslon at like plus 200, plus 190, whatever it is. I think he's a decent bet here. I can't bet Jimmy Crute at minus 230. I think that's insane. He could definitely find a submission, but honestly, I worry about him tiring out. And Urslon, I'm not saying he's got the best gas tank either, but he'll still throw bombs even when he's tired. Right, Mike? Like, that's the one thing that I know about him. He's still going to throw heavy even when he gets tired.
Yeah, you have to acknowledge that this is an important fight. Either way, I think it's strong scoring. I'd be pretty surprised if this fight didn't hit an optimal lineup based upon the stylistic fight.
This is a good fight to have both sides. I agree with you.
Guarantee both sides. And yes. I'm almost like shocked if it doesn't hit optimal, like I say, or some type of perfect fit.
I'm with you. I want both sides of this one.
And the thing is, Jimmy Crute, we're dealt these situations. So I always point back to other shows, the Donchenko, right? Like, he's minus 200 and then whatever, minus 150. It's correlated to him finishing. But then you look at the Urslon side and you're looking at it going, well, that's juicy leverage. I mean, inside the distance for Urslon is probably not that great. My computer's lagging behind, but I'll pull it up in a second. It can't be that great, but it's direct.
Who is it? Urslon? It's plus 275 inside the distance.
So even the books are sharp to it, right? Like, typically against a name value like Crute over in his area of the neighborhood there, hometown type of guy, whatever you want to say, you would see a bigger plus 350, plus 400 inside the distance. But even they think and know that second, third round, Urslon's very live.
I got a question. Could this be a split decision? Because Urslon's sitting there at 22-1 to win by split decision.
Draw.
You like draw?
No, not really. Just saying, listen, a dominant Crute first round, and then he fucking gasses out.
Just like the Bolato fight, literally the exact same situation in the Bolato fight.
I
worry if he gasses out like that, though, Urslon doesn't finish him. That's
Didn't
what
I worry. Urslon just throws his right hands. I'm
telling you, he's the easiest fighter in the world. Watch him. He throws massive overhand rights. Just massive, just bomb overhand rights.
He damage.
He's gonna hit. I'm telling you, he's gonna hurt Jimmy Crute on the feet if Jimmy Crute doesn't get him down. Jimmy Crute does not have a striking advantage. The last fight, like I said, Bolato's striking is not that great, but he had a really good calf kick. I don't know if you remember. He was hurting Jimmy Crute bad with that calf kick. Yeah, he was hurting him bad with that. I don't think Urslon's gonna do the calf kick shit. He's gonna go right in with heavy shots. Totally different than Bolato in that game plan style, pretty much.
Yeah. Amazing. We nailed it. I love this fight. You're going to need a piece of it. Next fight, main event, the starting point for how you build your lineups. Striker Delight, Dominic Reyes versus Carlos Ulberg. A little too soon? I don't know. Carlos Ulberg is such an interesting case. Minus 250.
Too soon what?
They're forcing him up the chain. I feel like it was yesterday that he lost to Kennedy and Chukwu in his debut, but we're getting old. We're not. I don't know. Dominic Reyes plus 200 underdog. Ownership wise, we're looking at Ulberg 50% ownership. I expected on my type of situation. 35% for Reyes. Immediately makes me think Reyes has great equity. Reyes is one of the most interesting case studies in the UFC. He has to be, right? JSU, like, this guy turned things around, getting 4 straight losses after, quote unquote, beating the GOAT, John Jones. Remember, people were saying that he beat him.
I remember.
and then rolls off 3 straight knockout losses. And it's like, does this guy not have a chin? He takes a couple years off, comes back, knocks down Justin Jacoby, who's a tough veteran and tough, gritty veteran, knocks him down twice, puts up a zillion fantasy points. Then he goes to a war, a zillion significant strikes, gets Anthony Smith. Well, that was a mercy, should have been a mercy stoppage. Nikita Krylov.
That was bad.
It was not good. Yeah, no, I forget if it was Herb or who, but that was not pretty. Great for fantasy scoring if you had him.
Yes. Yeah. It was a tough watch, though. It was a very tough watch.
It's just I continue to the narrative here. It's like Nikita Krylov had a shit ton of time off before, like, and then Dominic just ices him.
People
like
love Nikita Krylov too.
I do. I like the minor. He's I think he's actually back to Russia now. I think he was like
might be
Ukrainian, then switched back to Russian. But anywho, very interesting. So it's like they're specifically giving him opponents to be careful with, and then they're like, all right, here's a main event slot against a good-looking guy that's very marketable, and Carlos ULBERG, city kickboxing guy. I look at it as just such a striking match. Something's going to have to give here. Look at how tight these pick 6 lines are. 51.5 significant strikes for ULBERG, 45.5 for Reyes. At the end of the day, do you think there's a finish in this fight? Let me just ask you that to start.
I
felt that
I think there's a very high chance that we see this fight go to decision, actually, as crazy as that. I don't know if that's actually crazy. I don't think so. But it's just the way Carlos ULBERG fights. And it feels like the more and more he goes up the chain with the level, right, of danger, he just fights more and more, how do I say this? Cautious, I guess. Like he does a good job of minimizing the danger that he puts
mitigates
himself.
Risk. He just mitigates risk. Period.
Exactly. He mitigates risk, and he does a really good job of that. But for fantasy, that sucks because, when he was doing it early, we were getting 105. He was just rolling them off right quick. And then it just all went to a hole, and you could tell because he stopped fighting the Alonzo Menafields or the Pretoria or, these type of fighters, and he started fighting like some of the better fighters, like the Ozdemir fight, Jan, like those were super, in my mind, those were very close fights. They were decision wins. I don't know. I still don't know if he won the Jan fight. He won the Volkan fight.
No, I don't think he won it. But if anything, it was close, way too close than what it should have been.
It was too close. And I thought Jan won. I agree with you here. And now he gets Reyes, who might have found something. I mean, he's another guy who they threw him up there, but he was fighting the elite before his time off, right? Before he took some time, and then he's coming back. And you have to wonder, like, does Dominic Reyes continue to fight the way he's fighting, or does he kind of say, like, okay, this is my shot. Like, I'm back. Like, how many more times am I going to get this shot to be back up? And he kind of fights similar to the Carlos ULBERG style, where they're both kind of staring at each other a little bit. They're both respecting each other. And that's what it is, right? They're both kind of respecting each other, almost to the detriment of, fantasy. So that's the one way this fight could definitely go to the cards. But for a pick, I'm taking a shot on Dominic Reyes. I like Carlos ULBERG's taken, he's fought some good competition, but before those 2 fights, I mean, he was whooping not good fighters, pretty much. Like, not great fighters. He was winning, and he was winning in style for most of them. But, Dominic Reyes is good. Dominic Reyes is a good fighter. He's got power. I think ULBERG's going to respect the power. And, I think this fight is going to be somewhat close. So I'll take the 2-1 dog on a guy in Reyes who we've seen fight at the top, arguably beat the GOAT, I guess, John Jones. Like, if you think he's the greatest fighter in the world, like, he arguably beat him. And, I'm going to take my shot on the 2-1 dog here against Carlos ULBERG. But, yeah.
It's amazing when you look at all these stats for these guys. Same reach, virtually the same significant strikes at about 6 when you bring things back to the real world per minute. Takedowns just don't exist for these two.
Like pretty much the same age, same
I
reach.
mean,
like
it's a mirror type of situation. And, you know, you've had this ULBERG with that slow build. That's what I was kind of alluding to. And now you have this Reyes who's fought the higher level of competition, has the upside for knockouts. I mean, let's be honest, he has more tools. Hell, if he wants to mix in a takedown at the end of the round to win a round, I'd have more faith in Dominic Reyes going that route to try to win rounds. Whereas I don't have faith in Carlos ULBERG winning rounds. It's silly to say that, but like he just mitigates risk too much. So I feel like if Reyes can push the pedal,
to see Reyes just crowd ULBERG. That honestly, he's gonna if to do this, he'd put himself in danger more. But Carlos ULBERG does not want to be crowded, and I think you could get him uncomfortable with Reyes's power. That's the way he gets like a quick win, is if that was somehow his game plan. I don't know if that's gonna be his game plan. He's probably going to respect ULBERG's power more, which I don't blame him because he does have power. But I would like to see it because I do think that's like how you finish a guy like Carlos ULBERG. You just crowd the shit out of him. You don't play his game where you're just at range, striking 1 for 1, you know, or 2 for 1 or whatever. Well, that's his game. That's what he wants.
We both think that that's a world, but I think we both, at the end of the day, think it goes to a decision. So let's talk about scoring. I think you can get away with fading the main event. If you think ULBERG is holding up to that money line value, he wins the fight and it goes to a decision, there's a world where he scores 85 points and you're like, what the hell? I have a bunch of 100-point scorers around him. You're in danger, right? But if Reyes wins, clearly he's going to be the underdog that everybody wants and everybody needs. It's a very clear Reyes type of play on this slate, and all the ownership's going towards ULBERG. It's like 50%. It's that inside the distance line, right? It's the Dominic Reyes has been chinny in the past.
This is my problem for DFS though, Mike, is I agree with you. I'm gonna fade Carlos ULBERG probably. I'm gonna play the dog or pass on the fight for my lineups. That's how I'm gonna build my lineups. But like we went through this whole card. We don't like Jack Jenkins at 9,400. We don't love Jake Matthews at 9,600. Navajo Sterling's okay just because of the fight. I think the fight, but that could bust. Alexa Tinara, that could easily bust. I'm going through all these 9K fighters like shit. I can't fade them all. You know what I mean? So if I fade Carlos ULBERG, I gotta play. I could
live in that middle range. I mean, sometimes these cards just deal us these situations where the middle range is the juiciest one. We talked about, we're gonna need Petroski, Bedoya, and Nolan, right? Like those.
Well, that's true. You could hope that no real small dogs win, in that mid range just crushes, right? You could do that, but I got a question. Out of that entire 9K range, how are you ranking the 9K range?
Isn't it
out
terrifying?
Of the whole 9K?
You have to, just based on metrics, based on the 5 rounds, ULBERG just stands out by that much more on top. You have to rank him number 1. But if you do not count the main event, Montigu. I mean, she's got it has to be Montigu, Sterling, flip a coin, Jenkins, Tinara. I'd probably lean Tinara, Jenkins, Matthews. I mean, that's based on.
And I'd probably go Matthews, Jenkins is the only flip I'd have. Everything else I'd have the same. But I think I'm with you with the rankings and stuff like that, because at least Montigu, Tinara, they at least have grappling upside. And I think even though I don't want Jake Matthews to grapple with Neil Magny, he does have grappling upside.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't think that's going to be his game plan coming in, is to, implement it as much, but totally could be wrong. You know what I mean? So that's the one thing where.
So yeah, I'll give my final breakdown. I want you to give yours and we'll get ourselves out of here. But yeah, main event decision-making, that's where your first point is on your lineup. Because if you're taking Dominic Reyes, you can do whatever you want with your lineups. You can start picking out those inside the distance lines. You can start taking some of those pivots, right? We talked about Montigu as one of the pivots. I'm wondering how that middle range plays out. Like, I want to build middle range. I think I'm going to force myself to take a big dog. I do not hate taking a shot on a Magny myself. Okay. You said you like Bolato, same type of situation. Either of those two guys, Bolato obviously a little bit more, but I'm talking about style of builds, right? I think if you take one of those, it's going to be different than everybody else. Even combine it, right? Take a Magny, take a Bolato. Let's go with you. You I know this. We're talking about it. Roastin, Bolato. You're inherently different. And that's because you got leverage for the roasting side, right? Maybe take a Nolan in there too. Then you got lower ownership to kill off those Charlie Campbell lineups. Maybe fade the main event, right? You fade the main event in that style of build that I just said with our plays. What ends up happening, GSU? You just avoid it, because if it goes to a third round and there's a fluky type of situation where they're just kickboxing at range and you're killing off 75% of the lineups to 80% of the lineups, that's a way to build. Then you have the middle range, okay? I think you just live in that. Campbell, roasting, and then mix and match. It is difficult for me to get away from Perchix. I'm going to know where I am on the second fight of the night. He's a plug and play. I just think he's going to be able to dominate at home, and we love that over on the pick six. That's my favorite play on the entire pick six slate. It's a plug and play type of situation. I know we only have 1, 2, 3, 4 plays on that pick six. We can kind of dig a little bit more. We don't have to, but what do you think about that for the slate? Because Bedoya, Malarkey, we both didn't really love, right? You liked Urslon. I don't hate the Urslon. We talked about lower.
I like Urslon, and I like kind of Urslon and Bolato for DFS, because I do think, they could obviously get rolled, but they also have inherent upside if not. So I think they're two guys to get over on for DFS. Very boom bust type plays. But
now, do you do a rule that says one or the other? Is that when you're building your lineups, do you do I want Urslon or Bolato, or will you allow the lineup builder to build you lineups that have both? Because if you're doing both, that would make you go to the first place pretty quick, dude.
Yeah, normally I'll just adjust my projections to where I kind of have them ranked accordingly through, and then I'll run it and see if it's giving me what I want with my projections. If I feel like it's not, I don't mind using a rule, but I try not to use the rules. I try to adjust to where I think, and then run it and see if it's giving me around what I want.
Because last week I told you those 2 underdogs that I liked, the big
so you
ones,
made a rule.
So I made a rule, one or the other, and then some of them, they popped both of them in, so I was screwed. But here's the situation: if both those big underdogs win, I mean, I'm sitting pretty, right? Like, it's just like I need that perfect combination to go with it. But you're very, very far ahead of the competition at that point. So, I really do think that Urslon is a very interesting leverage play. I'm going to leave it off with one more thing for myself, and then we'll get out of here. Andre Petroski, X factor on the slate. He gets that wrestling going. He could be the guy that we're like, damn it, why did this guy just get 10 takedowns? He could replicate it, honestly, or he could get knocked the hell out. I know we want a piece of that fight. I'm terrified of it, and I'm going to be fading Petroski, but I'm scared. And that fight hasn't started because it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist. Yeah. I did not mean to click on it, and then it just brought me there.
Well, you could hit the unders on it.
Could hit the under on it. Yeah, you definitely could hit the under on it. I was just looking at it though. Our pick six. So we've got Perisic over on fantasy points. We've got Montigu under on significant strikes, thickness over on a minute and a half control time. Petroski under on fantasy points. Should we get 2 more in there just to get the 6 rolling?
We want to do that. I know we do.
Do we like Bedoya or fight time?
I like the over. I like the over 14.5 personally. I know it's a pretty accurate line to where it is. I believe I was looking at it earlier. I'll update it while you're clicking around to see what we can pair with it. Did we have
Bolato, Sterling 53.5 significant strikes seems like a high number. Does that seem high to you?
Yeah, let me just go click through the game logs to see where we're at there. Sterling in his last, or the 3 fights, 110, 78, 52. So they're looking at to the finish. They're correlating that to a finish, just so you know.
To the fight finishing.
Yep.
Which I think the fight could finish.
Yeah, I don't.
Or we could go to the Campbell Nolan side. We both like Tom Nolan.
Give me the Nolan over on fantasy points. And that correlates to as well to his inside the distance line, right? His inside the distance line is plus 125, been crashing through the week. That correlates to what? 2.5 rounds. And at that point, you're going to have a shit ton of significant strikes. 67.5, a second round finish easily gets you there, clearly. A third round finish, you're going to be fighting a little bit, but yeah, I like the upside there.
And then for my bet, if you go same game parlay builder on DraftKings and you go Perisic under 1.5, win by KO and Perisic, it's plus 115. If you go same game parlay under 1.5, Brando Perisic money line and exact method by KO, that's plus 115. I like that as a fun little.
I think you're going to have the crowd behind him. He's going to try to just throw those heavies. I don't think he's going to try to go submission. 100% agree with you on that. One other wild one I wanted to throw out was if this thing stays on the feet for Luana, Karolina, and Montigu, a cool same game parlay, I haven't built it yet, would be, I don't know if they offer it anymore. Luana, Karolina, more significant strikes. Montigu to win by submission is probably blows the hell out of the same game parlay. It probably makes it a huge number. You know what I mean? Probably, what do they call it? Reverse correlation probably makes it go through the roof.
Yeah, the reverse correlation is always fun with stuff like that. So I like that. But I know B Nair was asking. That's probably the one I'm going to have in a lot of my parlays. That's going to be my parlay holder right there. Something along those lines. So. All right, Mike, you got a favorite bet, or you just rolling with Tom Nolan money line?
Favorite bet, Tom Nolan.
Tom Nolan inside the distance. Say it for the people.
I want it. I want Tom Nolan knockout. I just think it's a very high, and that fight by knockout itself. I know it's a bigger octagon. They're gonna have to make it a fun fight. These two guys could easily get the $50K bonus each for fight of the night. Let's be honest. If they go to a war, this is the fight to look to, and I just think it's gonna be a little bit lower owned than what we think it's going to be. I know that there's a lot of ownership on Charlie Campbell. I like the ability for Nolan to kill it off. Yes, Tom Nolan inside the distance. I'm not going to get crazy at the minus 3.5. You know, God forbid these judges mess it up again. But
love it.
Do you know we have 2 title fights next week? JSU. We have Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Poatan. In the main event, rematch, beautiful. Merab Dvalishvili versus Corey Sandhagen. I look forward to breaking that down with you, dude.
Did you just say beautiful Merab Dvalishvili?
He is. He's handsome.
Oh, okay. I wasn't expecting that. You kind of threw me off. With the beautiful comment right there. But all right.
Who's taller, you, me, or him?
Fuck. On that note, guys, we'll see you next week. Good luck in your MMA DFS on DraftKings and your betting on DK Sportsbook. For Mike, I'm JSU. We'll see you guys later.